All right. My name is Hector Martinez.
I'm Ana Martinez. I'm Hector's wife, and we are the newest youth leaders for Remnant, and we're just so happy to be here with you guys.
She covered that pretty good.
Perfect. So, where did you guys' story begin for Christian life?
Well, it begins in a small little town called Pasadena, out in California. Parents born into a family that was going to church, and so I think that was the same situation for you, right?
Yeah. He had both his parents. I just had my mom. She was a single mom. But she started taking me to church when I was a baby. So that was really the groundwork of my Christian walk, was just the consistency and my mom always wanting to take me to church. I came to Christ when I was 7 when I did the prayer of accepting Jesus. So I was little, but it still didn't obviously you're a kid and you grow up coming to church and it's the natural step to accept Jesus. And then when I was 12, I started going to my first youth group with my cousin who was a youth leader, and she really just really plugged into my life at that point, because I didn't have that solid foundation at home with a mom and dad. It was just me and my mom and my brother, and I had father figures who would just come in and leave, and that kind of just contributed to my walking away from the Lord for a while when I was a youth. When I was in high school, it's if you don't have that consistency, you kind of just walk away and you feel there's not really anyone who cares about you. So you're why would God care about me? So I did walk away for a while when I was in high school, and then got back into it. I think after graduation, I just rededicated my life to God, and I wanted to serve as a youth leader because I was 18, and I was I think I'm ready to serve and to just walk out, my faith. And that's when I started leading. I led worship with my best friend, and we were also youth leaders. And then we did a transition and we switched churches to another church that needed help in the youth ministry, because they were growing and they needed worship leaders and more youth leaders, and that's where we met.
Yeah, I remember going to church all the time. I was that kid that was all right, I'm going to church. We had a couple rough times. We moved to different places, and but I really came to Christ when I was 20. Had a crazy car accident, and I was trying to go into music production, and I had this moment with God at a concert. So it was a trip that I could not explain. That was God. So and I've had my bumps back and forth, and so my whole life testimony is about just the God's mercy and just His restoration. You said something that's so pretty cool, because it's I didn't even mention that, but how important at age 7, just growing up in the church, even though you might have not been there, it's so committed, but it's there. Mm-hmm. And it was the same for me. At 7, 12, I think the hardships in my walk was there was no stability. So my parents, we moved, we changed churches. There wasn't this consistent kind of connection that I made to to the church and to just the community. So it was hard. High school's hard. Yeah. High school's hard, and so it didn't help that my parents got me a DJ system. I had Technics and turntables, and my life changed at 16. So God was there, but the world was happening for me at that age. Your world can change, but God was still there. And it's crazy how all these things that happened in my life, God was I I love you. Like, I'm there. I hope you can pick, look for me and pick me. But yeah, with my dad not around and things like that, it was easy to get distracted. So at that age 20, like, God showed up, and that's when I decided to, like, okay, like, God, like, you have saved me. You saved me from this car accident. You saved me from this. You love me. And so I wanted to serve God. And so I was wanting to be a missionary, and it still took a while for me to kind of settle in. After years, like, I didn't listen to wisdom. Like, my testimony was like, I had to learn the hard way. I had to get burned to realize, like, when they tell you don't touch the fire. And but that's where, like, the mercy of God, and, like, his love is so amazing. To look at where we're at now, and even where we're at, like, so funny. Like, we had to leave our home back in California to come to the desert to find God, and God showed up. God so showed up.
I feel like personally with me, like, and it's still, like, a work in progress, but I always, like, lacked that fatherly love growing up. So it's always been really hard for me to, as a woman, trust that there's a man, there's God who loves me and who, like, just wants all this good stuff for me. And I just really have a heart for girls who didn't have a dad, or who were abused, because it just distorts this, like, bigger picture of what God wants for us as women. And in that brokenness, and in just trying to find comfort in the world and find love in the world apart from God, this happened, and we weren't really in the best place to be a family. But that's also kind of where God just, like, mirrored us and, like, molded us to come back to him in that mess, because we came together. We were both, like, out in the world, and I got pregnant, and that in itself, like, just God giving good things to people even though we don't deserve it, that was such a gift to me. And it made me feel like, how can God, like, not love me? How can he not be real if he's given us this, like, this light in the darkness, which was, like, our first child? And that just planted the seeds for us to, like, to get married, to start our family. But it just came with a lot of heartbreak too, because you just take two broken people to, like, and put them together, and it's bound to implode if there's no, healthy coping. And, if God's not at the center of that right away, it's hard. And that's kind of where our testimony lies too, is just in the restoration of our marriage, and that decision when we came together to ultimately do it for God, just say how God, like, came to be with this family who, like, had walked away from him, and for us to be a testimony to other couples and to other families who also feel that brokenness and who feel like there's no way out of where they are. It's hard to believe that there's someone who wants something great for you, whatever your situation is, whether, you're homeless, or whether you feel stuck, or you've been abused, or you just didn't feel that love growing up. It's hard to, like, let people in. It's hard to, like, build relationships and not just be in a shell, and which I'm still working on. Like, this is a lot for me, but it's like baby steps, and yeah, just learning the testimonies of those around you, what to do, what not to do. Like, we're a cautionary tale, but it's hopefully to help someone who is struggling with, either with depression or like addiction.
Yeah.
It's real stuff, and we try to keep it real. Just like going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Like once you get to a certain age, you just look back and you think about all the places where God met you,
Mm-hmm.
and how he plants those seeds, whether you're a kid or whether you're a youth, and they don't leave, because he calls you personally by name, and he's like, I want you. Like, he wants you.
Yeah.
And even if you walk away, or even if you think you did the worst thing in the world, which we did so many times, he's like, no, like, I'm gonna use that. And he really does, like, he makes beauty from ashes, and that's like what we're here to show. And to just reach anybody who like feels like I messed up and I can't come back, like, you can always come back. And we see like people like Paul, and how he was a murderer and God still like used him, and that just should already give us so much hope. But I know that, personally, when you're in the muck of it, it's really hard to see a light or a way out, but there is a way out. And
God's enough. God's enough. I know for me, there was always like, there's something else. My prayer is that students can know God, and that God is hope, that God is love, God is everything that they want. And I think for me, somehow that wasn't delivered to me, either because I didn't believe that, and that desire that God wasn't enough made me look in other places, which broke my heart. But God is enough, and we just pray that God is enough for them, that what Jesus did on the cross and what Jesus wants to give them life, that life is enough. And we just pray that they can have that relationship, because things are going to get hard in life. There's different stages in college, careers, our parents' age, and it's. But with God, like, we got to see God never left us. He was, even though we left him, but he never left us.
yeah.
And that if you trust God, you're gonna be more than all right. And this is our story.